Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Building a Leadership Mindset podcast. I'm your host, Nikki C., all the way from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, here with another amazing guest. Super excited. Met her through the Connected Leaders Academy, and I can't wait to bring her on because the podcast universe has been trying to hold us back from getting this great interview in for about 3 times, but we were not going to let that happen again. Before we bring this amazing guest on, just wanted to shout out our sponsors. Thank you to Carolyn Bob Green, who is our lead sponsor. She is the owner and CEO of Training You to Succeed. Thank you so much for your support. Also, Breathe Capital Planning, Julia Noah Top Fox, who is the sponsor of our Taking Off the Shades anthology with the Ladies of Leadership. Thank you all for joining us again to an amazing episode. And without further ado, let me read her bio and get her right on here. Her name is Bethany Stone, and with over 23 years of experience in education, Bethany is a master mindset life coach dedicated to empowering individuals to unlock their full potential. As a co-author of multiple books and an engaging speaker for over 8 decades, she shares valuable insights that inspire transformative change. In addition to her coaching expertise, Bethany is a certified fitness instructor and a ballroom dance coach, bringing a dynamic approach to personal development that integrates movement and well-being. She has also published guided motivational journals that serve as essential tools for cultivating a growth mindset and improving overall wellness. Bethany offers world-class support and value, helping clients effectively manage burnout and overwhelm while enhancing both their personal and professional lives. Join her on this journey and take the first steps towards transforming your life with expert guidance and supportive motivation. Without further ado, let's get Bethany on this screen. Hey, Bethany, how are you?
I'm doing so well. How are you doing?
I am well. I am just happy to finally be on here with you. I know we had our first virtual coffee after, I believe we met back in February at one of Jose's events. I believe it was Reboot, right? I think we both spoke on there, or maybe you were just a guest.
Yep, I was one of the speakers on that summit or conference. It was so good. Like every speaker was there was just top notch and amazing. It was amazing.
Awesome. Yes, it was. And we got on our call, and I found that you had the love for dance, which I think we shared at that time. I was preparing for our world tour that we're having, our 50-state tour rather, for Empower to Inspire, and talked about maybe potentially getting together and collaborating on something special when we get around your town and something like that. So I'm super excited. We will share the video at halftime on here and how that went. But it was absolutely a pleasure, one, to get to know you, to hear your story, just to hear your journey and your love for teaching and supporting those around you, and really being able to dive deep into the mindset. And, you know, that's our love language here. So first, I want you to kind of share just who you are, where do you come from, where are you tuning in from, and what was the spark of becoming an entrepreneur in the first place?
So I am from Idaho, but my parents are Swiss. And so it kind of gives you a whole different dynamic because I'm not going to lie, Swiss people are really proud people. And so they think that they're the best at everything. I love Swiss culture, but they're a little prideful. I'm just going to let you know that. But I was just with that and being raised in that culture, I was just taught that I could do anything. Like, you can do anything. And my dad, I mean, he immigrated, he became a US citizen, and he started a business, and he was the American dream. He is the American dream. He like has a successful business that my brothers are taking over. And we all as a family grew up helping grow this. And it's been, I think that entrepreneur spirit just was embedded in me from birth just because of how I was raised. I just have that drive and I have the ability, and I know I do because I was told that. And I saw that. And I saw that, you know what, things take a lot of work and things take a lot of effort. And if you want things to really happen, you have to put in the work, and you have to put in forth the sweat, the tears. You know, there really is something called sweat equity. And if you ask my dad, because they own a landscaping business and a nursery, my dad's like, you know, money really does grow on trees, you know, but he says it in a very thick Swiss accent. So that's kind of, and I opened up a school. So really, I wasn't going to be a mindset and life skills coach. That was not really my plan in life at all. Actually, my real plan, you know, the what do you want to be when you grow up, was to have my own cooking show. That was my real plan. I was doing competitive ballroom dance. I was going to have my own cooking show, and this was the plan. But I was also very determined. So as I grew up, I graduated school early. I went to college early, and I was ready to do my internship at 17 in Montessori education. I moved out of state to do my internship, and I just kind of fell in love with it. Ended up getting married quite young, and I wouldn't change a thing, actually. Everything turned out the way it was supposed to be. And things became difficult later on because, well, I ended up getting a divorce, but as time happened, I ended up presenting at conferences, creating curriculum, really falling in love with what I do. And the cool thing about Montessori education is cooking is part of it. So I still got to have my love of cooking and my love of dance because it's a very holistic approach to everything. And I moved back home to Idaho. I opened up a school in Idaho. And then I had a son who got sick. And so when he got sick, I needed to transition to being more home. He got sick when he was 15. He's now 18. And so I transitioned to being home, and I could not just be home because, well, I'm a little bit too prideful. It is a thing. I don't know. It's in my blood. And so I was like, you know what? This comes really natural to me. I literally have been teaching life skills and have been presenting at conferences to adults and administration for years. I think that other people might need this. So I did all the certifications and all the training to, like, because people like the paper. I know, because I'm a teacher. So did all the stuff to get all the papers. And now I'm a master mindset and life skills coach. So what I do now is I just teach people life skills. But it was that transition of, you know, moving from owning a school to now being home and being able to support the core people that are the most important in my life. You know, that is the most important thing. And I know a lot of people are always curious, you know, when people say, oh, they got sick. So what my son got sick with was mitochondrial dysfunction disorder. And it's not super common, but his cells do not produce enough energy, and it affects his electric transport chain 3. And sometimes he can run and do everything he wants to do. And other times he has tremors, like he has palsy, and just can't walk. And so people just need to be aware and around that, understand what's happening. And so now that we know and we have him on the right, like, vitamins and supplements, he's actually doing really great right now. So There we go. That is Bethany in a nutshell.
Of course, it would be off, but all good. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing. Wow, what a journey. You're, just being kind of born into entrepreneurship and just really having that determination and the fact of having parents that really believe that you could do whatever it is you wanted to do. And thank you so much for sharing your story about your son and really having one of those challenges that could have totally threw your plans out the window to say, you know what, my son's first priority, which he is. But you still thought about, you still have to support your family. You still have to give back. You're still in your purpose and you still get to love what you do as well as the core people. So thank you for sharing that because it doesn't have to be anything that we go through doesn't have to be the end, right? It has to be how do we work through this? So can you tell me some of the setbacks that it kind of caused, but how were you able to bounce back and what was the mindset to really say, hey, I'm going to work it all the way around and kind of share your tips on that?
Well, I'm going to tell a story first about when I was 3 and what really kind of started this like problem solving issue. Okay, when I was 3, I had my mom told me I could have a Tootsie Pop. And I remember this. And I remember this, the red Tootsie Pop. She told me I could have it. I'm sure I did something because I was not the best child. And I did not get that Tootsie Pop. So instead of like throwing a tantrum and doing everything else, I went upstairs and I took all the silver shiny coins because I knew that that was what bought the Tootsie Pop. I took all the silver coins I had and I rode my tricycle to the gas station at 3 years old. Now, I grew up in a town of 1,000 people. People knew everyone. Like when you're in that kind of a community, like you know who everyone is. So I rode my tricycle to the gas station. I bought another Tootsie Pop. And then the person behind me in line says, "Where's your mom?" They picked me up. They put my tricycle in the back of their truck and they brought me back to my mom. My mom took away that Tootsie Pop too. Now, I did not get that, but I'm telling this story is that whenever there's an issue that happens, there's always another route. You can always problem solve. This was probably not the best problem solving thing, but for a 3-year-old to be able to look at this issue being like, my Tootsie Pop is gone. I will get another Tootsie Pop. I know how to do this. I've seen this happen. These are the steps. I thought that was like, I reflect back on that and I'm like, wow, that was pretty amazing. And there's been other circumstances in my life where I've had massive roadblocks. I mean, have been married twice before. I'm actually on my 3rd marriage. It's not something people always like to talk about, but it's a real fact. And my first marriage was very abusive for 10 years. And that was a really big roadblock. My second marriage was luckily very, very short because I was not okay at all. And it was very, very emotionally abusive, so much so that I became suicidal. Here's another roadblock. What brought me out of that was looking outside of myself. You learn from your experiences. You learn from everything that you are and what you can pull through and pull from. And when you're able to do that and really able to pull from these experiences and grow from them and have the perspective of this isn't going to knock me down. This is going to make me stronger. I'm going to use this. It empowers you instead of taking you in a spiral to just go lower and lower and lower into a vicious cycle. You can use it to empower you and recognize it and boost you. You use your experiences to grow you. And a lot of people that are struggling, and I have some friends that, will talk and they'll tell me these things and hardships. A lot of hard things are happening right now. in our country, in our world, we are not in an easy time. And when you take a step back, you have to realize that it's called uncomfortable growth for a reason. Growth does not happen when you're comfortable. Change can't happen if you're comfortable. It has to be uncomfortable, but you can decide if it's going to be uncomfortable and you're going to fall below, or if you're going to take this uncomfortableness and you're going to grow. Because in that uncomfortable atmosphere is when you actually can really grow. And that doesn't seem like it at the time. But if you do certain things, you can look at it in a way that you'll be able to grow. And I think that it's a lesson that we really forget. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, definitely. Oh my goodness, at 3 years old, it reminds me of certain stories back in the day. Some of my family members have told me, like in Puerto Rico, what they used to do and how everything was just so far, and they just couldn't find their kids because they wanted to again go to the store and kind of get something, and they thought that was okay because they were paying attention. They were observant. They knew how to get from point A to point B. They probably have been practicing that route and couldn't wait to get there. And that's the same thing about life. We have these dreams and desires to get to a destination, and we just don't know how to get there. Or we see people doing it, and they tell us all the time, you just have to have, a growth mindset. You have to have empathy. You have to, have emotional intelligence. You have to have all these tools in order to succeed. And we know them, and we've been through probably masterminds, free events, webinars, and things like that. Our, YouTube University, all these places that give us the tools. What is the most common thing when you're working with your clients in your mastermind? What is the most common thing that you see people are having roadblocks with? Is it their past traumas? Is it things that, what are they? What are the common things?
So, a lot of people deal with like childhood emotional neglect issues that reflect forever. So, what happens, and because I've worked with like brain psychology of children and developing curriculum and how things work, and I understand this at such a deep level. The So when we are developing as a human and our brains are like absorbing information and everything else, we absorb more information and we become pretty solid in our values and what we stand for, and a lot of our skill set by the time we are 7 years old. That is a scary thought, because what's happening now is we're creating an environment where, as these 7-year-olds that are either not exposed to the things that they need to be exposed to, or just life is difficult, right? And so we try to shelter them, but sometimes in sheltering them, we're hindering their development. Like, it's such a fine line to everything. And then they come to adulthood and they either look like a piece of Swiss cheese where they're together, but there's a whole bunch of holes, or they look like a brick wall where they're pretty solid, but a lot of their mortar is missing. And so it's just not complete. And that is probably the biggest issue that I find with dealing with my clients. And the one that people struggle with the most is really emotional intelligence. There's so many things that we're just not aware of our emotions, or we've learned to mask emotions, or we've learned to bury them. Depending on how we were processing them younger, is how we're trying to deal with them now. And it doesn't always work. What happens is now they explode inside of us and they come out in really unhealthy ways. We're either going to start binge eating, or we're going to start, isolating ourselves, or we're not going to talk, or we're going to create false realities and create other ideas in our head. There's so many things that are happening right now because we do not want to deal with our emotions, because those are difficult. And because we never learned how to do conflict resolution, we never learned how to communicate in a way that hard things. We didn't learn that. That is a hard thing. Like if I mess up and I have to go talk to somebody about that mess up, I mean, you get that lump in your throat and your tummy sinks and your heart is like, "Oh man." You just feel
Mm,
that. And to be able to be like, take that deep breath. Here's some coping mechanisms. Here are some things that I can do to rationalize my emotions, get out of the fight or flight and take control and do what I need to do. And when you have that ability to be able to take control, you're able to really excel in a lot of different ways because people want honesty. People want to have that connection. And we're so used to not really connecting physically anymore. We're so used to connecting on a screen, which it's technology is amazing. But when you can actually feel somebody's presence with them, I mean, I can tell you, like, if somebody is next to me and they start crying after they're talking about something, I want to start crying because I can literally feel that emotion. You can feel people, you can feel that presence. It's like heat. And we're disconnecting from these emotions, which is putting us even further and further behind our emotional connections. So, if I can talk to one thing that is like the biggest crutch that we're all suffering from is just the emotional intelligence piece and the connection piece.
yes, absolutely. I 100,000% agree. Even prior to COVID, there still were those things happening. We can't say that COVID was the reason why people isolated. I know many people for years that that's just kind of their comfort zone where they want all these things, they have all these desires. But then one of their biggest one liners are, I'm not a people person. Like you can't try to run a business. You can't want to make true, authentic connections if you're not a people person. Like we're all here, put here to serve together, to live together, to laugh together, and that's really the hope for all, right? Is that we can live in a world that allows that gives us that freedom to do so. But it's a choice. It's a choice of do you want it or don't you want it? Do you want the solutions that have been kind of holding you back for so long, right? Let me just edit this real quick because I do want it to scroll. Um, it's just a lot of those types of things. So before we go to a break, I would like you to kind of touch on that when again, those that don't believe that they have a purpose in life and they are going through some struggles, but they don't know where to start. What is the first place you recommend or advise some of your clients to really tap into? Can you share that with us?
You know, I love technology. And something that I think is really hard to do is like get out of that funk. It's called the vicious cycle. And I teach about the vicious cycle. I have a whole graph of like, this is literally what it looks like. And people can be like, pinpoint, oh, I'm right there in the vicious cycle. Oh, that's next. Oh, I don't want to get there. Okay, how do I get out of this? And I think that's really what we all think about. Well, how do we get out of this? And the bottom line is to look outside yourself, to look outside of yourself with gratitude. But there's two different kinds of gratitude. And I think that's something that people forget about. There's like gratitude, like I'm grateful for my mom and I'm grateful for food. And there's the things that we repeat all the time, grateful, grateful, grateful. But then there's like gratitude, where you are thinking about it and you feel that heat inside of your heart. And you're like, wow, that was amazing. And I am so grateful for that because of this. Now, this is why technology is cool. You can use ChatGPT. So if anyone is struggling right now, this is what I would do. Go to ChatGPT. If you're struggling with your relationship or whatever is happening, be like, I need 30 relationship prompts, gratitude prompts that are going to be in depth that I can really think about. Now, the cool thing about using AI when you're doing these types of prompts is they are going to be so more in depth, and you're going to think, and they're going to be more like, you know, think about a time where you had a moment with this person, and what did that feel like? You're going to think about that. That is going to give you the gratitude, the second gratitude, the better gratitude. And when you have that, you all of a sudden are climbing out of this vicious cycle and getting into a virtuous cycle. It is magic, but that is the key. That is the one key that I can do. And if it's like financial, if it's whatever, find things that you can be grateful for, but don't just, I'm grateful for a house, I'm grateful for clothing. Think. And you can use AI. So that's what I would do.
That is such an amazing. I'm all about ChatGPT and just having a conversation, and just really understanding different things, whether it's my current emotion or how do I react to this or how can I respond to this particular scenario, right? What is the best way that it's a win-win situation where I can not just respond, but also reflect on what I did, how I was a part of it. So what I'm finding out today is that we're not asking ourselves enough questions, that we're just kind of, okay, this happened and I need to get out of it. And then we start making up all these crazy ideas on how we're going to get out of it without like fact checking. Is this the right way? Is this going to work? Is this going to be just a bandage, or is this going to actually solve the problem? So I love that you bring that up. We are going to take a quick break. We're going to go over to Chicago, check out our Empower to Inspire recap video, and we'll be right back with Bethany Stone. We're going to know what she's working on now and how you can get a hold of her. She has brought some major nuggets, so I hope you guys are taking notes. We'll be right back. Oh, did it not come up? Here we go.
When was the last time you gave yourself permission to see keen? Take off the shade, stop the cycle. It's your time to build, to rise, to lead on purpose. I used to quiet the roar in my chest, played it small, second guessed, but now I see what I was born to do. Dreams don't wait, why should you? All those voices, they don't define me. I broke the loop, I rewrote the timing. Now every step's got fire beneath, 'cause playing safe won't bring me peace. I dream it, I build it, I elevate it. No more shade, I finally faced it. I hold the pen, I write the climb. This is my chapter, this is my time. Empowered to move, inspired to win. What if you never begin? So I rise on purpose by design. It's not someday, it's my time. Tired of tired, I stood up tall, let the fear rise, then watched it fall. The cost of waiting's way too high. I'd rather leap than wonder why. What are you gonna lose if you never choose? This is your permission slip, signed by you. Make it count, get it done, command your presence, let the world see you shine. They told me to wait, I said if not now, when? I built it from gold, I won't pretend that I'm not meant to lead again and again. I dream it, I build it, I elevate it. No more shade, I finally faced it. I hold the pen, I write the climb. This is my chapter, this is my time. Empowered to move. Are you ready for it?
Hello, hello. We are back with Bethany. So that was our sizzle reel for the Empower to Inspire kickoff tour in Chicago. That was May 17th. We absolutely had a blast. We are headed to Las Vegas October 3rd through the 5th. More information on buildingaleadershipmindset.com. We have, again, Bethany here who is a teacher, a ballroom coach. She just does amazing things. And we were talking about mindset. Let us know, Bethany, what are you currently working on right now?
So currently I only offer one thing, and that's self-care. That is what my core, everything that I do is about self-care. So because I have created curriculum, how I do everything is I teach about the 5 different areas of self-care. And they are, you have your emotional self-care, and then you have your spiritual self-care, your physical self-care, your social self-care, and your intellectual self-care. And so within teaching these different areas of self-care, what ends up happening is those pieces of Swiss cheese or those walls that we've created, when you learn about how to actually really care for yourself and what is the key focus of what you need to do, it breaks down those walls completely. And you're able to, that's the whole point of everything. I am a Montessori educator. I am all about you discover. Even though I might know, it's not going to change anything. It's kind of like, addicts will never change unless they make the decision. We as humans do not change unless we discover it and we make the decision. So as you learn, you find out what the life skills are that you're missing. And then I teach those life skills, and I teach them and I build you up. And then you rebuild your wall in a way that doesn't have holes and has all the mortar it needs. And that way you can be strong and resilient in anything that comes your way because you have those skills. So currently I have a couple of different things that I do. So once a month, I offer a free masterclass, and I alternate between all these different areas of self-care. I have one that's this coming Monday, and that people are welcome to that. I'm not sure when this one is airing, but this coming Monday is going to be about spiritual self-care. And then next month, we're going to be learning about physical self-care. And we just rotate through the self-cares, and it's a free 1-hour masterclass. You can look me up on Facebook, Bethany Stone. I have a picture. It looks like me. That's how you know it's me. And then I also have Thriving by Nature is my Facebook page. And then on Instagram, Thriving by Nature. And then I have a podcast, Thriving by Nature. And I don't have any guests. It's just talking about little life skills. That's it. They're like 18 minutes long. I think that's the longest one I have. And they're just different life skills and how to be resilient, time management, all the different life skills. And then my other offer that I have is you just need to have a group coaching class. You can just get onto my website, sign up for a group coaching class whenever you need one, and just be there. And then third offer is if you just want to have all 5 courses all at one time, you can just get the whole course. It just has me talking you through the course, and you can figure things out for yourself because I really believe in independent learners. Or you can have one-on-one with me. And that way, that is the one that I talked about at the beginning, where we really shake down everything and build you up to be the most resilient person that can never be knocked down. So those are the offers that I do. And I don't know, I really enjoy teaching, and I really enjoy adapting curriculum. And because I have experience working with typical and neurodivergent populations, I really am able to adapt curriculum and material to better meet my clients' needs. I have some clients that are very kinesthetic learners, and I have them go get Play-Doh. And literally, I have them play with Play-Doh or build with Play-Doh while I'm teaching them, because if you're not being taught in a way that you understand or a way that you learn, nothing is going to stick. We are not all supposed to be pigeonholed in the same way. We are not all PDF pushers. Like, it is not always the way it is. People have to be taught in a way that they're really going to get the best out of everything. And that is what I do.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing the different learning styles, because I'm one, I went through all college online. I could not sit in a classroom after working a 9 to 5 job to be away from my family, to be in a room, to just listen to someone try to teach me something where if I'm not seeing it, highlighting, taking my notes and really digesting it. And it takes a lot of discipline to be that type of learner where you teach yourself something you don't know. But I know that about me, right? So I would love to take every online course training I've taken has been that. I am curious to know how I'm all about names and really purposeful branding when you're building a business and thriving by nature. I love that. It's actually catching. So can you tell me, like, how was that conceived? Did you always know that? Was that like a gift from someone to say, oh, you should name it that? How was that? How did that come about, thriving by nature?
Um, because I grew up with plants. My parents owned a nursery. I helped grow these plants. Plants are part of who I am. And I do a lot of speaking. And a lot of the times when I do speak, even I spoke at the Reboot conference, I talked about seeds of potential. And I truly, truly believe that no matter who you are, it doesn't even matter. We have seeds that we just need to have nourished. And we all have that ability. It is within our nature to thrive. Like, we're not here to suffer. We're not here to just die out. Like, this is not the plan. We are here to thrive. And it's all about just creating the right environment. It's about creating what you need and watering those plants and having the right soil pH, all the right water, sun, soil, all the right things just perfectly, and you will thrive. And that is what it's all about, because we all have that within our nature. So when this name came about, like, my husband and I actually went back and forth for a long time about, like, what should we name this? I don't know. I'm like, and we came up, and I knew I wanted to have it be thriving. I'm like, because I really want it to be about growth. I said, because growing never stops. I want it to be growth that continues. Growing, always trying to grow. I'm always challenging myself. I'm always trying to do something. And I think that that is something that keeps me motivated and keeps me, like, in check. And we always need to be growing and thriving. So, and my husband's like, this should be it. So really, I have to give the credit of my company's name to my husband, but I really wanted thriving. He was like, by nature. So
Uh,
he has more words, but I have the one.
Yes, I love it. And I think when I hear thriving by nature, the first other word that just comes up is like posture and adaptation, right? Really finding who we are and adapting to that desire of how I want to show up. And I love it. So it just called to me every time I see it. I was like, wait, who's thriving by nature? Because I think like your name in the calendar was like thriving by nature, but then I had to go here to kind of see your email. So I'm like, oh, it's Bethany. Okay, cool. Because I didn't know who it was. And I remember I, hear so many business names across the board every day. But it really called out to me, and I really wanted to know what the background was for that. And thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for being here. I love all that you're doing. And I love that it's truly the 5 areas of self-care that you are touching on are like the most needed right now. Like, we really have to go back into just, and you talked about it earlier about by the age of 7, we already have our core values. The last thing I kind of want you to talk about before you close out is the core values at 7 is what obviously is given to us, right? What we're learning from like our parents, the external world, all those things. Can values change, and what are things that we really need to understand if they are our real values that we believe in, or if it was one that was kind of implanted, and how do you help those kind of see the difference?
So they can change. And it's interesting because, like, as we grow up, I don't know, I know my kids, I've talked to them about this specifically. when they're doing something that they know they probably shouldn't be doing, do they ever hear my voice in their head? And they're like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I have a bunch of teenage boys. So I'm sure I'm like yelling in their head all the time and they don't even, whatever. But you think about that. You think about when you go to do something, did something from your past tell you that was okay or not okay before? Do you hear that? And now it's, as an adult, you have to make those decisions. Like, I feel like as we grow up and as time changes and we realize, we were told for a long time that eggs are really bad for us. I don't know. Eggs are terrible for you. You're going to get high cholesterol. You're going to do all these things. It is terrible, terrible, terrible. And then eggs are a great source of protein. Eggs are good for you. You should eat eggs. Everyone should be eating eggs. And now you're hearing you shouldn't classify eggs as a protein. Eggs are more of a healthy fat. Eggs should be classified as a healthy fat. Still, when I go to eat eggs, I'm like, is this bad? Is it good? You see what I mean? Like, we start questioning these things and these narratives all the time because as we're developing and as we're growing, these are things that are told to us and our brains hold on to them. And we're like, is this right? Is this wrong? What do we do? And this is where you have to become really strong in what you know and your feelings and what path you want to be taking. Who do you want to be? What do you want? Where are you going to go? And are these the steps you need to take to get there? Do you need to take this piece of you with you? Or do you need to just put that on a shelf and be like, you know what, that was a good part of my life. It guided me to get to this point, but I don't need it right now. I'm going to put it here. And if I need it again, I can get it back down. I can pull from that. It's a resource I have. But right now, this is my path. And these are the things I'm trying to add into my life. They say that it takes, 28 days to create a habit. It takes longer than that. It takes 60 to 90. It's not an easy thing. If you really want to change things and you really want to change your thought process and your procrastination. I had a client and I love her so much. And she was just like, I know you teach life skills, but here's the skill I need. I need some cooking skills. And I'm like, why? I said, I can teach you cooking. I mean, I love cooking. I said, tell me what's going on. She goes, I burn this, I burn that. She goes, I burn water. I literally burned water. Blah. And she's telling me all these things. And I told her, I said, it's not cooking that you need. This is time management. This is not cooking. This is time management. This is not procrastinating. This is being present. And it's interesting how we will take things that we don't like about ourselves and other things that other people have said about us in our past, and we hold on to that belief. I'm a bad this. I'm not good at this. I can't do this. These are core beliefs that we have been told that, yes, they can change. You can change. You can be who you want to be. Yeah, it's not easy, but is it worth it? Yes, because everything that is worth it isn't supposed to be easy. We're not supposed to have things be easy because then we don't value it. If things are just given to us, we don't value it. And when we have to work for it and put effort in it, we can have that gratitude for that. And it becomes so much more valuable to us. And then our value system changes because we were able to add to our values.
That's
I think that's
awesome. What a great way to end this podcast. You added so much value, Bethany. I'm glad that we finally got it done. It's here. And I'm going to have to go back and take some notes because there are a few things that you said that were really, really good. That was like, oh my goodness, like if you're listening to this and you didn't have a pen and paper, you definitely want to go back, write these things down, connect with Bethany. Her website is scrolling along the bottom. That's www.thrivingbynature.com. She is available. She has some amazing things going on. Thank you for joining the Bomb Global family. You are going to be one of our top 200 interviews. We are this close to celebrating the 200 anniversary or interviews with Bomb Global. So you'll be back in a couple months and we'll be reintroducing you on a week-long live. And I am super excited again that you guys continue to join us, subscribe, press that bell, make sure you get notifications on all of our upcoming stuff. Thank you so much, Bethany, for your time. Thank you to our listeners and again, our sponsors. Have a great day. And as I always say, make it count. Have a good one, Bethany.